Hey guys, in this episode we're going to cover putting our rear valance on the car, and we're also going to start addressing some of the issues with our front valance. Thanks for watching. Right, so we've attached our bottom valance at the moment with screws. We will be welding this up. I'll be welding up all the holes in it as well, and bringing it out to the edge of the wing and welding it to the edge of the wing. I've noticed that I feel like this lip isn't actually going to be far out enough, so we might have to adjust it. It looks fine here, but on the other side of the car it doesn't look fine. And I'm wondering at some point, did this side of the car, or maybe that side of the car, took a hit, or they haven't fitted the wing on correctly, because the gap just doesn't look quite correct. There might be two different wings. The car was restored, so they might have used a non-original wing and the panels are slightly out and just no one's really noticed. But now I put the valance on, I can see that we've clearly got an issue. I'm measuring the valance and everything looks, well, the inner bit of the valance looks like it's in the right place, so I can only assume that one of the wings is wrong. Now, my plan is to customize the grille anyway, but I needed a grille for us to check what our fit was like. I'm gonna open this up, because I did believe that something wasn't quite right with the wings, but I couldn't work out what that was. Alright, that's open. We try to get the grill in. And already I can see that the grill doesn't quite fit. And the question is why? Alright, this is why I always say it's good to check. So at the moment, our grille does not actually fit in this gap at all, not even close. So this already tells me we've got issues. This side seems to fit. I mean, the gapping isn't perfect, but it does seem to fit. The other side, well, it's way off. There's a bit of a gap between the grille and the wing, right? If we look on the left-hand side, all right, and obviously you're gonna have to give or take on both sides, but if you look at the left-hand side, the shape isn't even correct. So if I take that out and I try to put that in there, the shape isn't even correct at all. Now I'm gonna measure here anyway, because it feels like there's a lot of filler on this. Anyway, and see there's metal there, but the top hand corner all looks like it's made of filler. So we'll take the metal back and we'll check it. That side of the valance, and you see I can basically get my whole finger, get you in close to see that, and basically get my whole finger under the gap, right? But we've brought the edge out exactly the same. On the other side, right, I can't even get my finger under the panel. Like, we are pretty much in line with this edge. And that edge that we welded on is the same size the whole way along. So for us to have basically, for us to have that much difference underneath is a lot. What I would say, the car took a hit at some point. Being a rubber bumper, you would never seen it anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. But now we're putting a grill on it, this is all going to be an issue. So we're going to have to adjust the whole front end of the car to get the grill to fit. Okay, so I've got the grill to fit, but I'm still not quite happy with it. The center of the badge still doesn't really fit. To get this to fit, we basically knocked down our lower edge and we tapped the edge of the grill the whole way around, as the grill was kind of protruding a bit. If you look on this side, right, I took basically the paint off the inside to see if we had filler, and we actually didn't. It is actually metal. But if you look at the gap here, you come down here and you've got a gap that kind of follows the shape of the grill, and it's quite a straight down gap. There's not really much shape to it. And then you come around the other side and you look around the other side, and then on this side we've got this come all the way in and kind of touch the grill. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably cut a sliver with the welder here and push that line back to about here, like so, and then that will give us a bit of movement to move the grill. Because if you look at the center badge isn't quite there. It almost looks like it needs to come over just a smudge. So I'm going to basically open that up, what I'm hoping will allow me to move the grill across when we do the welding. The bottom panel, I was going to weld this bottom panel up to the whole car. What I'm thinking to do now is not do that. I'm thinking to leave it looking a bit more rugged and get basically button Allen key bolts. Put an insert in that you can screw them into. I'm going to weld a plate onto the bottom of the wings so these holes line up nicely, because at the moment the original ones sit too far back in my opinion. So we'll basically line up the edge there, run a bead of metal around, weld it to the edge of the wing. Was going to bring this out, and that's going to give us a whole front end profile. But apart from that, that's pretty much our front end done for now. Okay, we're going to remove the back bumper of the car now. Now you've got 6 bolts. You've got 3 on the inside. Show you those. So we'll pull that up. So you've got 1 bolt in that corner. You've got a bolt in the center, and you've got another bolt over here. Now under the car, you've got a bolt on this side underneath, and on the other side of the boot, you've got a bolt underneath. The same size. It's a 7/16. So you're going to take out 1 7/16, the middle 7/16 from the boot, and the 16 also underneath the fuel cap. But before you take the ones inside the boot, the bumper is very heavy, so I'd advise you do this with someone. You could do it on your own like I'm going to, but for that reason we're not going to remove the 3 bolts in the boot. We're going to do everything underneath the car first to avoid the bumper dropping on us. So you're going to remove your 2 7/16 bolts from under the car. They're kind of positioned kind of here. If you look up underneath the car, I'll try to show you, but they're very hard to see with on the phone. And then you've got a half inch bolt as well on either end of the car, on that end and that end. I'll try to get underneath and see if I can show you. So if you look up in there, you see that bolt up in there, so that's holding onto the bumper. And then if I turn the camera around, the angle is kind of hard to see, but you're going to see there's a bolt up in here as well. It's sort of situated kind of just behind your leaf spring, so you'll look up in there and you'll see it up there, and you're going to want to remove basically all of these bolts underneath before we work onto the top of the car. So all our bolts from the underside removed. Now we've just got to remove our bolts from the from the boot. I'm going to sit down on the floor because I don't want to do my backing when removing the bumper, and we're going to pull it out, and it should just come off. There we go. Right, that's our bumper removed from the rear of the car. Right, I'm going to remove the mud guards now from both sides of the car. One removed. Underneath them there's usually sort of like a circlip that holds them on, so you're just going to remove that. While we're looking at this side of the car, obviously for our valance, we basically need to bring this side and create this side to be more flush, and we need to fill in this location here. To fill in this location here, we've got basically what you use to modify your car into a chrome bumper car. So when you have a rubber bumper car, you have this gap. On the chrome bumper car, this kind of shape on the light comes all the way down and sits underneath here. So that's the panel we painted before, but more or less, you add a bit of metal to the top here, and that's going to come down, and that is going to be our new edge. like so. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll modify this slightly, but that's going to be your new edge. So we're going to weld that more or less to the panel of the car. You add a bit of metal here, and that's going to go in that gap, and then sit something sort of like that, and then your light bezel will sit here, and that's overly going to give you the shape of the car, to give you that kind of finished look. Before I started grinding or doing any welding to the rear of the car, I removed the petrol tank. The reason I did this is because even if your petrol tank is full, the vapor might cause you to have an accident. So it's probably best, and I would recommend that you remove the petrol tank before undertaking any kind of work on the rear of the car, as the tank is so close to the location you're working. We got our back panel out, we've taken the petrol tank out to avoid any issues. You don't have to do that, but I've done that to be safe. We've now got to get our end caps to fit under the lights. Looking at them, and they look like they're going to need more. So again, still too far out on the edge, we'll grind the edge back.
It says 02, it says the first one's 027.
Right, we're now going to take our rear panel. So this is our rear panel, and we're going to mask a line from there to here and cut that section off, and we're going to use those sections underneath here. I'm going to try our best to line this up as best as we can, and we're just going to tack weld it in place for now. So we're looking at our shape. We're now going to work our way around the side of the car, and we're going to come around this side of the car now, and we're basically going to make up our piece that's going to go between. So to do this, we're going to take, again, same thing again, panel from our midget. Again, in the description I'll put all the pieces that you need to do this, but this is basically going to tack onto the panel like so. And right, we're now going to take our panel and we're going to add 1.25 inches to the top of this side panel. So we're going to weld 1.25 inches to the top of this side panel. On the car, we're going to basically cut from the bumper mounting plate on the rear of the car. Go around and look at the rear. So the bumper mounting plate from the rear of the car, from this edge here. So we're going to cut through this edge with the angle grinder. We're going to come round and we're going to cut the whole car above this line here. So we're going to cut like that the whole way through, but we're going to keep the edge of the car. So we're going to cut like that and just pull this piece out, but we're going to keep the edge because we want to keep the shape of the car before we do all our welding. Got our panel made up. I'm going to try it against the car. It's quite a good fit. Somewhere here. Like this. We'll go here. Somewhere there. But we'll double check once we get closer to the panel. Okay. Right, so we've tacked it in. We need to make a piece of metal to fill in this gap here, but that's fine, we can do that after. We're going to cut this line so we can use the original edge of the MG for now, and then when I make the arches later, then we'll basically come in and we'll readjust all of this corner because we're going to have to. Our metal work done. So we need to go in and re-weld all of that, but once we've done that, then we'll have the shape of our car. That side done for now, we just need to go and do the other side now. Right, we're now going to do the middle section of the car. We welded up, so the holes from the rubber bumper I welded up was basically some penny washers and just welded them in, just to stop water from spraying at the back end. And then we'll go in and we'll spray that later properly. But for now, that's what we've done. Panel the back of the car, but first we're going to cut the boot area off of it because we don't need that, and it's gonna make it more difficult for us to put on the car. So I'm gonna cut that now.
Nice clever work again. Nice clever sheet. This was like the old one, eh? It's different.
Different car.
Eh?
Different car.
Oh, I know, I can see it. Never heard from that guy that took it to Portugal.
No, never heard from him. Never heard from him actually.
He redid it and didn't send you a...
No, nothing. Didn't send me nothing. I was well upset about that. Sometimes that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
We know if we cut it, we're basically going to be on the line of where the back panel goes. We're going to do that. And that's more or less going to show us exactly where we need to. Okay, so we've got our back panel tacked on. I had a cut in a few sections where I wasn't quite happy with the line, but the back panel's now tacked in. We've got to fill in this gap. We've also got to fill in the gap on this side and bring this panel in. At the moment the shape isn't quite there, but that's something we can get an adjustment. This side is quite, you look from the top, this side's quite round, and then you come out and it kind of bows out a little bit, so we just need to tap that in a bit. Right, it looks very messy at the moment, however, we're in the right place. We've made that plate the same way I kind of showed you by using a template before. That's our back holes for the original number plate welded in. We've welded in this side, we just need to finish off welding off that side, and then we can go back and grind the whole back panel on the side. And we've got to flip the car now so we can do that. So if you see here, we've ground that back. We've met with the original edge of the MG arch for now. Obviously when we put our wide arches on, we're going to widen that anyway. So we'll come back and correct that. But for now that'll be fine, and we'll replicate the same thing we did on this side to the other side. Right, that's the back end of the car done. Thanks for joining us. I'll be picking up more on this car in the next episode, where we'll probably be doing the sides. I'm going to try do the relocation of the fuel cap. But I need to get hold of the right cap, so I'll have to do some research. I'm also still looking for an MGC bonnet, so we still need to find an MGC bonnet, but we'll pick that up in the next episode as well if I manage to find one. Thanks for joining us, guys.